Hey everyone, Gary of the Elysiums here, back with another ranking video. Now before we get into this video, do me a favor, please hit that subscribe button, like my channel, all that. You'll definitely help me out. So today we're going to be ranking the studio discography of Testament. Testament was formed in California in 1983 under the band Legacy, which actually turned out to be their debut album's name. In 1986, original singer Zetro was replaced by Chuck Billy. Zetro went on to replace Paul Bailoff in Exodus, and Chuck Billy has been with the band as the lead singer ever since. So we're going to get right into it. We have 12 studio albums. The only album I'm excluding here, which is technically a studio album, is First Strike Still Deadly, only because it's a re-recording of songs from the New Order and Legacy, the the early stuff of Testament. So that one is not included, and as always, the compilations, EP, and live stuff, all that's not included. So this one was really tough to rank, only because there's not a bad Testament album. Every Testament album is great. They're just a really good band. A lot of people think they belong in the big four of thrash, replacing Anthrax. They say the same thing about Exodus. But we're going to get right into it. And like I said, it was really tough to rank a Testament album as last. But, I had to. So coming at number 12, I don't want to say last, Dark Roots of Thrash. Awesome album, very heavy album. Some great songs on here. Rise Up, which opens it. Native Blood. What else is good here? The title track is amazing. Man Kills Mankind, Throne of Thorns. 2012 release from the band. Really thrashy. It's really cool to hear a band, nowadays, one of the original bands that are still holding true to their real thrash sound. Metallica definitely changed their sound, as well as Megadeth and Slayer. I mean, they got back into it, but Testament really, really has the power nowadays. Coming number 11 is their most recent album, released in 2020, so 5 years since the last Testament release. This is Titans of Creation. Cool digibook here. Cool pictures. Yeah, it's a really strong album. Again, these openers of these albums are really strong. Children of the Next Level, Into World War III, Dream Deceiver, City of Angels, Symptoms, and then the last song, Catacombs, is just awesome. And really cool artwork there for the band. Again, for the time, for 2020, it's just really heavy, really thrashy. And come at number 10, this is a very strong album. Brotherhood of the Snake. Cool artwork again. I mean, that Testament logo itself is awesome. Sorry about the glare there. This was a 2016, yeah, 2016 Nuclear Blast Records release. Again, the title track, which opens, it's great. The Pal King, Seven Seals, Born in a Rut, Blackjack, The Number Game. Chuck Billy's vocals are just amazing. Skolnick solos all over the place in this album. Obviously Eric Peterson. So Eric Peterson and Chuck Billy, believe it or not, are the only two original members to stay through every single album. All right, coming number 9, The Gathering. This is a reissue for Nuclear Blast Records. That's why it's in a digipack here. Very, very strong album, very heavy, bordering on death metal. But what's cool is Dave Lombardo from Slayer, the original Slayer drummer, is the drummer on this album. And DNR, Do Not Resuscitate, which opens it, is just crazy, crazy fast. Got the blast beats on there. 3 Days of Darkness is great. Eyes of Wrath, Legions of the Dead, Careful What You Wish For, Riding the Snake. Really, really heavy album from Testament. Love it. And coming number 8 is Low from 1994. So this is the first album to be recorded without Alex Skolnick and Christian, the bass player. And they definitely changed their sound. They did a little bit more, there's touches of, very slight touches, I'm going to say, of industrial, maybe prog. Chuck Billy changed his vocal style to be more heavier, a little rougher, more of that death metal sound coming from him. And James Murphy was the actual, I'm sorry, Greg Christian is on this album. I thought he wasn't. So James Murphy is the lead guitarist, which replaces Alex Skolnick on this one. I'm very familiar with the album, not that familiar with the players' names on that. And then of their death metal trilogy, as I like to call it, Demonic is my favorite of the three. This was released in, I want to say 1997. Not the best artwork for the band, but a very, very strong album, very heavy. Oh, look, I still have my, remember these? Where'd you buy this album? All that stuff you could fill them out, send them back to the record company. They're supposed to like send you something like a catalog update and everything. I never got anything. Now I just keep them when I have them in the CDs. But yeah, Demonic, very, very strong album. Demonic Refusal, The Burning Times, Together as One, great, great song. Distorted Lives, New Eyes of Old, Nostrovia, very, very strong album. So yeah, that is my favorite of the death metal trilogy. And when I say death metal trilogies, I'm talking about these last three albums that I ranked. So Low was the first one with those death vocals, Demonic, and then The Gathering. All right, coming number 6. This was the last album to feature Alex Skolnick before he would come back again with the Formation of Damnation. Awesome album cover there. I always like this. This is a 1992 release. It has the original Testament sound. I feel like they kind of slow up a little bit. They want to basically, you know, these bands that were all kind of copying Metallica's route with the Black Album and going commercial, and you know, with Return to Serenity released the video and everything from their previous album, they wanted to capitalize on that. Let's see there, Megaforce Records, Atlanta Records. Nothing special about this. This is just the original release. Cool picture there. Again, that Testament is so cool. Beginning of the End, which opens it, is just like a little instrumental into Face in the Sky, Falling Fast, Souls of Black, and Absence of Light are probably my two favorite from this. Malpractice is good, and 7 Days of May, which ends it. And The Legacy. The song The Legacy on here is very, very strong. All right, coming up, down to the top 5. As I just mentioned, Return to Serenity was the first hit single from Testament, the first one to chart. They had a video over MTV, and this is The Ritual. Never really liked the album cover because, you know, like I said, Testament has such a cool logo, and you can barely see it there. I guess it's an upside down pentagon. But it's very strong songs on this album. Sign of Chaos, Electric Crown, The Ritual. The Ritual is my favorite off of this album. Return to Serenity, I'm not the biggest fan of that song. I think it's too slow. It doesn't really represent Testament in my opinion. But, you know, that Signs of Chaos intro in the Electric Crown is just so strong and heavy. And I feel like there's a lot more that could have been released, and for some reason didn't make the charts besides Return to Serenity, excuse me. All right, coming in at number 4. So 3 and 4 are interchangeable to me. I don't know what to do right now. All right, I'm going with this. Number 4 is The Formation of Damnation. This was the album that really brought Testament back. Released in 2008, Alex Skolnick's back in the band. This was a shocker when this came out. This was extremely heavy. The thrash was back. No more of those death metal vocals. Just legendary Testament and Chuck Billy back again. Yeah, again, just that 1-2 punch intro. The For the Glory or Right Into More Than Meets the Eye. The Evil Has Landed, this title track. The Persecuted Won't Forget. Henchman Ride, Leave Me Forever. Really strong album. So if you were a fan of Testament in the early days and you kind of lost track of them throughout the 90s and you haven't gotten back into them, definitely check this album out. Like I said, I'm actually ranking it 4, which is pretty high on the list here. Coming number 3 is the iconic Practice What You Preach. That cover is just so cool. Everyone knows that cover. The title track, which opens, is my favorite song off this album. Megaforce Records, there you can see there. For some reason, mine flips over because the spine's kind of worn out, so I had to flip the back there. Perilous Nation, Nightmare Coming Back to You, Confusion Fusion, Greenhouse Effect, Sins of Omission. Really strong album. This is I like to call this so all the thrash bands, I feel like their albums are similar to each other. Their debut, their sophomore album, their you know, their third album. This to me is their Master of Puppets, but I say that lightly because Master of Puppets would be probably be higher than top three or number three Metallica if I were to rank them. All right, coming number two is the debut album, Legacy, released in 1987 on Megaforce Records. Again, Johnny Z helping them out here, along with Marcia Zazula. Just a great album. It shows the band really raw, just getting started. And like I said, the band's original name was Legacy. So they changed their name to Testament and ended up making the debut album called Legacy. Look at the guys there, they look so young. Just really cool stuff. Over the Wall, which opens it. The Haunting, Burnt Offerings, my favorite song off of here. First Strike is Deadly. Such a, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? The staple in Testament's catalog. Probably one of their most famous songs. Album cover, I think it's pretty cool. You know, some people might not like it, but I think it's cool. It has that late 80s horror art that I like. And let's talk about Apocalyptic City, which ends the album. Just such a strong song. Sorry, you know, drinking my liquid death here. All right, right before we get to number one, we probably already know what it is by narrowing it down. It's The New Order. Awesome cover. You got the world there with that Testament skull looking over it as kind of a ghost. Again, the logo, I think it just looks amazing there with that silver and blue and black. I love the color scheme. Eerie Inhabitants, which opens it. The New Order, Trial by Fire, Into the Pit. Such a cool song. I remember every time I seen Testament live, that's obviously the mosh pit song, Into the Pit. Hypnosis, Disciples of the Watch, The Preacher, Nobody's Fault, which is a cover of the Aerosmith song from Rocks. A Day of Reckoning, and to ends it, Musical Death, A Dirge. Such a good album, and that's why I ranked it number one. My favorite from Testament, if I want to listen to Testament, this is the one I always reach for first, even though I do like everything from them, but this one is just the strongest in my opinion. So yeah, number one for me, Testament, The New Order. All right, everyone, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Another ranking video in the books for me. I'm not sure what band I'll be ranking next, but I'll be thinking about it. Like I said before, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. Please like this video. All that will help me out. And cheers. See you next video.